Hi, good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing today? Happy Girls' Day to all the women and girls here today and online as well. Before we begin, I'd like everyone to turn to page 73 of your prayer book. 73. Can everyone hear me just fine? Good? All right, great. Perfect. Thank you. We're going to read the KONKO Faith, our creed. We're going to read this together. We believe in Tenchi Kane no Kami, the divine parent of the universe. Our founder, KONKO Daijin, embraced Kami's revelations and as divine mediator answered the call to eternal mediation. Our continuing goal from moment to moment is to realize Kami within each of us. We are fulfilled through Kami. Kami is fulfilled through us. The happiness of everyone is Kami's greatest wish. We give thanks to Kami's blessings, mysterious, wondrous, and mundane. Blessings begin with our own hearts, hearts filled with harmony and joy. We pray wholeheartedly to Kami today and every day, trusting Kami as our loving parent, finding peace of mind. We live our faith in service to Kami, each other, and our world, nurturing and nurtured, mutually fulfilled. We revere those who have gone before us, spirits one with Kami, caring for us eternally. We respect and appreciate other paths taken by humanity towards spiritual fulfillment. I think it'd be better that way. You can see some expressions. All right. Good morning, everyone, again. Welcome to this morning's service, the monthly service. And so this morning's service, kind of like what I mentioned this morning, it's in honor and appreciation for all that we're blessed with in our daily life from the Divine Parent, and also through the mediation of the founder, Ikigami Konko Daijin. And also, it's in memory of the people who passed away in the month of March. And so what I want to focus on today is something more on a simpler level of like, how do we incorporate faith into our everyday life? You know, our everyday life. Sometimes we think about faith when we come to church, or we come to a service, or come to a funeral, or some kind of other religious event is when we start focusing on faith, right, and how to incorporate that. But what I think what's more important, though, is our everyday, day-to-day, how do we incorporate faith into our daily life? And so one of those simpler things is simply just being mindful that we're blessed with so much opportunity, so much blessings in our life. And interestingly, though, there's a teaching that goes from a founder. The more you practice faith, the more you start to realize that your past events and even the events that are going on now was all a blessing. Oh, that was a blessing in the past. Oh, this was a blessing too in the past. Even if it's 10, 20 years ago, we can still connect it with faith into our lives. And so that's what's important. It's about how do we incorporate faith thinking, faith perspective into our everyday life. And so sometimes, we think of divine arrangement. Within the KONKO faith, we think about divine arrangement fairly often. And so divine arrangement can occur even on the most simplest mundane scale to a even more grander life or death scale. And so one example was just a couple days ago. I was talking with a believer in the lobby, and we were talking about renkong. Renkong, lotus root. And we were talking about how eating lotus fruit is good for you and how it's healthy for you. And supposedly it's symbolic of being able to see into the future. It's like there's a symbolism with all those holes in the lotus root. And so a few minutes later, a church believer comes, rings the doorbell and say, "Oh, I brought some lotus fruit for you." And I was like mind blown. I was like, we were just talking about that. So it's really interesting how there's this random connection with the universe is listening in that way with I just was mind blown. Even though it's something so minor, as a church member bringing renkon for me. It was delicious, by the way, too. Thank you very much. And another larger scale level of understanding divine arrangement in our life. One of my good friends in Hawaii, he had a skateboard accident way back when. I think it was 2020. He got a skateboard, one of those electric one-wheel skateboards. And so when you're a surfer in Hawaii, he's a real avid surfer, so he's real confident about like, oh, I got this. I don't need pads. I don't need a helmet. I'll be all right. The thing is, it wasn't all right. So he went riding the next day after Christmas, and then I texted him and called him, no response. And I was like, that's strange. He usually calls right back or texts right back. And then a friend got back to me and said he got into a skateboard accident, and it was a major skateboard accident. So what happened was he slipped on those steel grates on when they're doing construction. He slipped on that, and he fell and he hit his head, and it became a traumatic brain injury. And his brain was swelling. They had to do emergency surgery. It was life-threatening, and they just had a baby. And so it was like this whole like, oh my goodness, like it's going down this slippery slope of unpredictable, scary future. And so we all prayed. That's all we can do. That's all we can do sometimes is just pray and focus our healing energy for the person to heal. And so that's all we did. Thankfully, day by day, he started getting better. Day by day, he couldn't move his legs or arms or anything at all because of the brain injury. He couldn't even touch it. And so we were like, oh no, he's going to be paralyzed on certain parts of his body. And so that was like, a dark place to be. But he's a strong, resilient guy. He says, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to heal. I'm going to be okay. And he was really diligent in his healing. Now he can walk around just fine. And he's back to work, surfs all the time. And he's back to normal after a couple of years. But it's so interesting how, everything came together in this most traumatic time. But what's also interesting is the divine arrangement was they found a brain cyst in his brain because of that traumatic brain injury. And it's like there would be no way to find out. There would be no way to know that there would be a brain cyst without having that traumatic injury. It's interesting how the universe kind of has these teaching moments for us through these most difficult times. We talked about it recently and said, yeah, that was a blessing. It's the most difficult blessing in the world, but that was a blessing that we found that brain cyst and they were able to get it out. And then he had another follow-up surgery to get the rest of it out. And now he's just fine. No headaches, no nothing. And it's just, that's where, as people, as human beings, we have to see it to believe it. Sometimes we can't just believe randomly about something. We have to kind of experience something. We have to see it to believe it. And so seeing these blessings from people, some friends, from family, from church members as well, you guys gone through tremendous adversity, tremendous difficulties throughout your life. But, I'm learning through every one. I'm sure each one of you here today are also learning from each other too about how faith can really make you resilient. That's what I see as the theme of what faith can do, is that it creates a sense of hope, peace of mind, and some resiliency. That Kami-sama will help you out. It may suck a lot. Like, it's just going to be bad at times, but sometimes we have to go through that to understand the bigger blessing. And I hope everyone here today can think about those times in their life where they've gone through very difficult times, very challenging times. There's a blessing behind it. There's something to learn from pretty much every single experience we have. Kami-sama gives us opportunities to learn. And it's whether we see those opportunities as an opportunity or we just brush it off and not learn anything from it. And it becomes a wasted opportunity of sorts. And so I hope everyone here today is, about thinking about practicing just a simple way of practicing faith in your life is just try to think about, I'm so blessed today. That's perfectly fine. I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed to have kids running around making noise. That's great, I like hearing the kids running around making noise because it's a sign for the future. It's a good thing. I'm really grateful that all the families came by today to celebrate Girls' Day. And so again, I want everyone to think about how to incorporate their life, or their faith into their life, their everyday life, just to think about their blessings and how blessed we really are. Thank you very much.